Okay, couple more tools. Ooh, wrong page. Couple more tools in our arrays toolbox that we're going to need. One, well, we don't need any of these things, but they can make our lives easier. One is for each. For each is another way of traversing the array. So what we had before was we had an index I that went from 0 to 1 less than a length. And then we used the square bracket syntax to say data sub I. Another way to do it is to say for int n colon data. That means for each n in this array data, and then each time through the loop, n is data 0, data 1, data 2, all the way through. There are some times when I don't need the index, so this works just fine. It does make the code a little bit shorter, but I would avoid it just because it's more confusing. In some languages like Python, it makes more sense to have a for each. In Java, I think it just makes things harder, but they do talk about it in your book. It is an acceptable syntax. So these two loops do exactly the same thing. One does it using the traditional syntax, the other does it using the for each syntax. Even though it's not called for each here, they just use for. I don't know why. The next tool we have in our toolbox is array initialization. So before, when we declare the array, we use that equals new keyword, or equals new, right? And that initialized everything to 0. If we want to start it off having certain values, the syntax is, if we want to start it off having certain values, well, actually clap. If we want to start it off having certain values, the syntax is to use these curly braces, and then each of those values is within there. Now notice I'm not specifying a size here. I don't have to. The size is however many items are within the curly braces. So this is going to create an array called days in, and days in is going to have the values 31, 28, 31, 30, 31, 30, yada, 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 all the way down. This is going to create an array of strings called day names, and it's going to have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, yada, 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 7 days of the week, right? So instead of you having to have 7 lines that put those values in, this way you can do it on 1 line. Again, it just makes things a little easier. Now, arrays have a few limitations that make them hard to work with. You can't resize them. Once you've created the array, it is that size. You can't print an array with a single statement. You have to write a loop like we have. And you cannot use the double equals for equality, the same way you couldn't for strings. How do we overcome those limitations? We use the array class. So we have this copy of, right? Copy of will return a new array with all the values of the old array listed right here at the new size. So if we wanted to make it larger, we could make it larger. We could also make it smaller, and then it would only copy up to that point. We can copy a certain range that is just a subsegment of the array from, say, elements 5 to 25 by using copy of range. We can check if they're equal by using the equals method. We can fill it with initial values if we want it to be something other than 0, and we can sort it. That is, we can put them all in order from largest to smallest. So again, the array class is a very useful tool, and you will be using it multiple times throughout your practice IT this week. That's going to be the end of 7.1. We have one more video for 7.2, but most of it's kind of reviewing things that we've already talked about. You should now be able to do all of the work that you need for this chapter.